Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia for UFC 236. So bad news, as the consecutive weeks of free fights has now ended, we now have to have those dollars that we so responsibly saved up for in these last few weeks to pay for the UFC card this weekend, as it is a pay-per-view. But this pay-per-view is promised with two amazing fights for both interim titles, which kind of sucks, but nonetheless, they're both top contenders in their respective divisions, and it is promised to be one hell of a night of fights. We're gonna start it off in the light heavyweight division of the main card, where we see previous top light heavyweight contender in Ovince St. Preux, OSP, taking on the most underrated and really, to the main fans, kind of underknown Russian prospect in the light heavyweight division in Nikita Krylov. So, first things first, this is a rematch. That's right, it is Krylov versus OSP number 2, where Krylov tasted defeat via Von Flue choke. Funny enough, OSP has 3 of those on the record, and 2 of them have come in back-to-back outings. Never mind one Von Flue choke, but to pull off 2 consecutively is a very unorthodox submission technique that not a lot of people even have in their inventory to use. But OSP is one of those top contenders that looks like he is simply a knockout artist, but he is very unorthodox in his striking, and he is very crafty on the ground, which just speaks from those Von Flue chokes in itself. Even though this is a rematch, mark my words, this OSP and Krylov fight is going to be 2 brand new fighters. Is it for the better? We're soon to find out. My guess is no. OSP, once the very, very best to be thought out of in the division, maybe the one to dethrone John Jones, came up wildly short against John Jones and Jimmy Manuwa and Volkan Oezdemir. Every time he fought a grade A fighter, OSP has found himself coming up short every single time, especially in his last outing against Dominic Reyes. Closing that distance, that's something that OSP doesn't like. He likes to see fear in his opponents. That way he can take his time and pick his shots at bay with his long reach, because he has a long ass reach. But now these fighters are understanding how OSP fights, and when they close that distance, you can see OSP first and foremost get extremely tired and get extremely frustrated. Nikita Krylov, I believe, does not have that type of aggression. While he is a very good fighter and has that knockout ability, obviously knocking out Fabio Maldonado, Emmanuel Newton, these aren't really names that are thought to be as a big threat in the division. Sorry to say, Nikita, but it's true. His last fight was coming against Jan Blachowicz, where he tasted defeat via arm triangle choke. Now, this is his one chance. This was his one chance to fight a top prospect, hopefully get that W, which he failed to do, and break through that top 10 once again and be known as a threat in the division. But he brutally fell short, and that just kind of puts him and OSP in a very awkward position, because 2 of the previous top guys, they're fighting to get back into that threatening status. I think that Krylov, once again, obviously gonna have that in his mind that OSP once beat him, is not gonna be able to handle the size of OSP. This is a fight, in my opinion, that's perfectly crafted for OSP to gain his confidence back and to jump back in that win column. He's gonna have that confidence in here. Not to mention the opponents that he's fought in the last couple of years have been, sorry to say, but far superior than Nikita Krylov, because Nikita got ejected from the UFC years back and fought in Russia for a while. While they're tough competition out there, they're nowhere near the caliber of the UFC, at least for most of them. But I do see Ovince St. Preux utilizing his reach, able to keep Nikita Krylov at bay, catching him with a shot when Nikita Krylov is trying to close that distance, because I believe that's going to be his keys to victory. At least that's what his camp's going to tell him. Ovince St. Preux is going to be able to get him to the ground and basically just ground and pound him in this fight. I think this fight could end in round 2. I think there's going to be too much respect between both of them. They have so much on the line. They're both going to be hungry for that W and don't want to make that simple mistake to just it all up for them. Now we're going to go to the middleweight division. We're going to see tough, durable, sensational, action-packed Eric Anders. He's going to go up against what was to be the top prospect, the top killer of Black House MMA training camp, alongside Anderson Silva and those Nogueira brothers, Khalil Roundtree. Khalil Roundtree made his name heard all around the globe when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. Team Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Claudia Gadelha, making it to the finals, and everybody thought this Khalil Roundtree was going to be a force to be reckoned with. He came up short in that finale against a guy that nobody's even heard of, Andrew Sanchez. He fought toss prospect Tyson Pedro, but once again, falling short. And it was very frustrating to see such a large aesthetic specimen, and of course, someone to be so feared in Khalil Roundtree, just making all these simple mistakes, in my opinion. But since then, he has rebounded, and he has rebounded strong. He is undefeated in the last 4 fights. One of them he was defeated, but that was overturned, obviously, because Alexiejczuk is nonetheless, to say, a fucking cheater. But Khalil Roundtree is known for one trick and one trick only, and I think it was definitely exposed in his last fight against Johnny Walker, who is a scary son of a bitch at this division. He swings for the fences, and he's just hoping to catch you and catch you good and put you right to sleep. And that's something that you've been exposed over and over again that you need to work on, but you just don't seem to want to do it. Now, you're going to go in there against Eric Anders, and the thing is, you're going to go in there with one game plan, and that's to knock his teeth out. But Eric Anders can take a wallop. He can go the whole distance, which is something you are not really shown to be able to do, at least very well, because all your victories in the UFC have come in first round. Yes, that's scary, but what's going to happen when you get to round 2 and round 3? I know. You're going to get tired, and that's not something you want to do, especially a guy like Eric Anders, who's proved he can get wobbled, knocked, and tossed around like that fight against Thiago Santos, which he only took on a couple days' notice, and still make it to the final bell of the 3rd round. I don't think you have any extra power that none of these other fighters, especially Mareta Santos, have, and I don't think you could be able to knock this guy out. Eric Anders is far more veteranized than you are, if that's even a word, but I'm using it anyway, and he fought way more high-caliber opponents than you. He has 3 losses on his record, and his 3 losses are coming against, and of course, the newest top Canadian contender there is, in Elias Theodorou, which just happened in Toronto, Ontario. As long as Eric Anders can think about it seriously and not overlook his opponent, I believe he is going to walk through Khalil Roundtree no problem. I do think Eric Anders is going to stand up and bang with him, negate and block all those takedowns if Khalil Roundtree tries any at all, and he's going to get the best of the boxing and probably knock Khalil Roundtree the out, because we've seen Khalil Roundtree go night-night a few times in the past. Now on to the biggest fights of the evening. We have my favorite middleweight of current active anyway, of all time currently, Kelvin Gastelum, and he is going against undefeated Israel Adesanya. Now, Kelvin Gastelum was supposed to fight back at UFC 234 against Robbie Whittaker, but Robbie Whittaker had to pull out after the weigh-ins. But Adesanya took that main spot with Anderson Silva, and it was a very, very close fight. Close back and forth fight, and in my opinion, if Anderson would have fought smart and maybe put his hands up, I think that fight would have gone the complete opposite direction. Israel is going in there, obviously, with cockiness and confidence. He's never lost. But mark my words when I say this, when he's fighting Kelvin Gastelum, he will be fighting the physically strongest fighter he has ever faced and the most tenacious. Kelvin Gastelum will close that distance, and he will stick to you like an octopus, and he won't let go till you're either asleep, right, Michael Bisping, or just beat the hell out of you until decision, right, Jack Ray? But Kelvin is always consistently fighting the best that the UFC has to offer. He knocked the hell out of Vitor Belfort, and obviously he was overturned because his whole marijuana ban thing. Beat the hell out of former champion at the welterweight division in Johnny Hendricks. In my opinion, if that fight with Robbie Whittaker happened, he would have finished Robbie Whittaker. I know they say style make fights, but this is going to be a real fun one to watch. The reason is Israel's not going to want to take this to the ground, obviously. He's not going to want to close this distance, absolutely, because he knows the moment he gets close, Kelvin's going to grab him and take him to the ground and try to just ground and pound him. So the question is Israel, are you strong enough to avoid these takedowns for the whole 25 minutes rounds? Because this is an interim fight. My guess is no, because Kelvin Gastelum, in my opinion, probably the most tenacious wrestler at 185, and I think that's going to be the difference here. I do think this could go to decision. I think you are really going to see a change in pace in that 3rd and 4th round. Do I think he's going to finish it? No. I do think Kelvin will be the new interim middleweight champion via unanimous decision. Now we go on to the main event. Current lightweight contender Dustin Poirier going up against the current featherweight undisputed champion Max Holloway. So back at UFC 143 in 2012, these two met once upon a time. Yes, this is a rematch, but do I consider it a rematch? No, because that is 7 years that these fighters have been able to develop and completely change and mature as athletes and professional fighters, which in my opinion is what they have both done. Because Dustin Poirier, once a bridesmaid, never a bride, is on set now to finally become a bride, finally become that champion. Well, not really the real champion, the interim champion, and then obviously the winner to fight Khabib, and they're just going to lose anyways if that fight ever damn happens. But Dustin Poirier is taking out the best. Eddie Alvarez finishing him. Before that, fighting the most violent person in MMA. Joe Rogan's words, not mine, but you know what, Joe? I kind of agree with you. In Justin Gaethje, and defeating the previous lightweight champion and the former WEC featherweight champion in Anthony Pettis. He is always consistently fighting the best, and for your last 3 fights to be against those top previous title holders and top contenders, you've proven yourself to be a killer. His only fallbacks were against Michael Johnson and, of course, Conor McGregor way back when. But like I said, he is a completely different fighter now. If we talk about Max Holloway, his last loss was against Conor McGregor as well. But since then, he has boasted a 13-fight win streak. He has also beat Anthony Pettis. He's beat Ricardo Lamas, Brian Ortega in his last outing, and he beat the previous GOAT at the featherweight division decisively twice, Conor McGregor. I'm talking to you. In the 3rd round via TKO, proving back-to-back that he is the baddest man at 145. Now, this fight, I love it. I don't love what it means because it's for the belt, and Max Holloway's not a 155er, but I get it. They have no one to really fill the shoes. The division's kind of a mess right now. So, Max Holloway, thank you so much for stepping up and deciding to take this fight. That's pretty damn cool, especially against a rematch against a real lightweight in Dustin Poirier. They're both gritty. They both like to go out there and they both like to try to knock you the hell out. So this is going to be exciting and the fans are going to go nuts, mark my words. I think Dustin Poirier is smart enough to know that this is not the same Max Holloway that he once defeated. Watching all his tapes, because trust me, there's years of footage after that first time they met to show how much Max Holloway has evolved. He's got the gas tank, check. He's got the submission game, check. And he's got that knockout game, check. Dustin Poirier does too. This is going to be a stand-up fight because the one thing for sure, these guys love to put on a show for their fans. They never want to hear a boo, and mark my words, fans, you are not going to hear a boo in this one. Their keys to victory for both these fighters are going to be the exact same: to push that pace for the full 25 minutes and land as many shots as you can. Obviously, keeping their head movement and their footwork, which are both amazing at. This is going to be a very, very technical stand-up fight. You're not going to be watching one of those Justin Gaethje fights, even though I love him, but it's not going to be a sloppy slugfest. It is going to be methodical. It's going to be articulate. It's going to be something that you just want to see over and over again, because it is going to be an absolute thing of beauty. I do think it is going to the full 25 minutes, and if anybody finishes it in the 4th or 5th round, it will be Max Holloway, because Max Holloway has that experience of going to those later rounds. But I do think my gut's telling me that it is going to decision, and Max Holloway is going to be crowned the new interim lightweight champion, set to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov in the very near future, hopefully the fall of 2019. And those are my predictions. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Dead serious on that. Hit the notification bell so you're aware of all my videos when they drop. So just make sure you leave a like, dislike. Who the hell cares? I don't care. I love, I love hate. Doesn't matter to me. People love me, hate me. I'm already over. You can leave a comment, positive or negative. It doesn't matter. I love you guys. Get ready for one of the best UFC pay-per-view events that you will ever see. Mark my words. And we are going to see you next week. Peace.